He didn't just tackle people. He collided with them like a truck hitting at full speed. Quarterbacks feared him. Receivers braced for him. And the crowd? They lived for it, but behind the cheers was a question no one dared to ask. Out loud, was Jack Tatum just a fierce defender? Or was he the most dangerous man to ever play in the NFL? Jack Tatum wasn't your average safety. They called him the assassin not just for how he hit, but how it felt when he did. Violent, fast, unapologetic. He made grown men hesitate before catching a pass, but what really made Tatum a legend? Was it the Super Bowl victory with the Raiders? Was it his hits that seemed to stop time? Or was it the controversial moment that changed football forever? In this video, we're diving deep into the real Jack Tatum. From his rise as a college star to the infamous play that left a man paralyzed. You'll learn the lesser-known truths, the side of his story the league rarely talks about. And by the end, you'll decide for yourself, was Jack Tatum a hero of old-school football, or the dark warning of what the game used to be? So stick around, because the full truth behind the assassin is more shocking than you think. Welcome to History of Raiders, your home for powerful stories from the silver and black legacy. If you're a true Raider fan, or just love gritty NFL history, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Early life and rise to fame. Where we talk about the fear he brought to the NFL. We need to go way back to where it all started. Jack Tatum was born in Cherryville, North Carolina, in 1948. But it wasn't the small southern town that shaped him. It was Passaic, New Jersey, where he grew up tough, fast, and unshaken. On the streets of Passaic, survival meant standing your ground. That mindset followed him onto the field. He started off playing offense, not defense. In high school, he was a running back, a good one. But coaches started to see something else in him, something more dangerous. A sharp mind, quick reactions, and a hit that felt like a car crash. Tatum's competitive edge showed up early. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to dominate. He wasn't loud or flashy. He was quiet, but calculated. Opponents remembered him not for what he said, but for what he did. By the time he got to Ohio State University, Jack Tatum was already making noise. And under legendary coach Woody Hayes, that noise became thunder. Hayes saw the raw power in him. He turned Tatum into a defensive back, a move that would change football history. Tatum didn't just adapt, he owned the position. He shut down receivers. He punished runners. And he did it all with a cold, calm stare. Teammates respected him. Opponents feared him. He played like every down was personal. He earned All-American honors not once, not twice, but 3 times. In 1968, he helped lead the Buckeyes to a national championship. That team was stacked with talent, but it was Tatum who stood out. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the fastest. But when he hit, the entire stadium felt it. NFL scouts took notice. They saw something raw, something violent, but controlled. And in 1971, the Oakland Raiders made their move. They drafted him 19th overall in the first round. It wasn't just a pick. It was a warning, because the league was about to meet someone different. Someone who didn't just play defense, he redefined it. The assassin person before. We talk about the hit that shocked the world. We need to understand the aura Jack Tatum carried every time he stepped on the field. They didn't call him the assassin because it sounded cool. They called him that because it fit. Because when Jack Tatum hit you, he didn't just stop your forward progress. He erased it. He earned that nickname early in his pro career. Teammates, opponents, even fans could feel something different in the way he played. His tackles weren't just physical, they were personal. Fast, fierce, and final. Receivers would peek over their shoulder before the ball ever got there. Running backs would slow down, just to avoid turning into a target. And quarterbacks? They prayed their throws didn't lead a man right into Tatum's zone. He never smiled before a game. He never celebrated after a hit. Because to Jack Tatum, it wasn't a show. It was a mission, and he didn't apologize for any of it. In one famous interview, Tatum said something that still chills people to this day. "I like to believe that my best hits border on felonious assault. It wasn't just a line, it was the truth." Tatum believed in a brand of football that didn't pull punches, where pain was part of the game, where fear was a strategy. He wasn't dirty. He was precise. He never played to injure, but he always played to punish. And it wasn't just his hits that made him feared. It was his eyes stone cold, the way he stood at the line like a predator waiting for the snap. The silence before the collision was almost more terrifying than the hit itself. To his teammates, he was a shield. To his opponents, he was a storm. A storm you couldn't outrun. That was the assassin, not a villain, not a hero. Something in between. Something the NFL had never seen before, and may never see again. Career highlights and achievements before we talk about the legacy he left in the NFL. Let's take a look at the moments that defined Jack Tatum's career. Tatum's journey was shaped by one team, the Oakland Raiders. He spent the majority of his career there, becoming the cornerstone of their defense. But it wasn't just his hard-hitting style that made him unforgettable. It was the way he played with a chip on his shoulder, knowing his hits could change a game. For 8 seasons, from 1971 to 1979, Tatum patrolled the Raiders' secondary. He wasn't just a part of the defense, he was its heartbeat. And in those years, he made a name for himself that no one would forget. The stats speak for themselves. Tatum was selected to the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row, from 1973 to 1975. But those honors were just the beginning. In 1976, Tatum reached the pinnacle of his career when the Raiders won Super Bowl XI. That victory was a crowning achievement for the team, but for Tatum, it was proof that his brutal style could win championships. He didn't just show up for big games, he took over. In the championship game against the Minnesota Vikings, Tatum's presence was felt in every tackle, every interception, and every play that kept the defense on point. He didn't rack up padded stats, he delivered impact moments. Moments that swung momentum, silenced crowds, and sent messages. Over the course of his career, he recorded 37 interceptions. And with those interceptions, he amassed 736 return yards, putting him on the map as one of the most dangerous defensive backs in history. Those numbers don't just tell you about his skills, they tell you about his mentality. Tatum wasn't just looking to stop the offense. He was looking to take their momentum, steal their confidence, and turn it into something dangerous for his own team. And then there were the plays that didn't show up on stat sheets, the hits that made receivers second-guess crossing the middle, the forced fumbles that shifted games, and the sheer presence that made every offensive coordinator game plan around him. In 1980, Tatum played one final season with the Houston Oilers. It was a short stint, but it didn't tarnish his legacy. By then, he was already etched in history as a Raiders legend and icon of the NFL. He didn't just play defense. He redefined what a defensive back could be. The Darryl Stingley incident. Before we talk about Jack Tatum's impact on the NFL, we need to address the moment that changed everything for him and the league. It was 1978, the preseason. A game between the Oakland Raiders and the New England Patriots. A moment that no one ever saw coming. Tatum had already built a reputation for delivering crushing blows. But that day, in an instant, he became more than just a player on the field. He became a symbol of the violent side of football. As Darryl Stingley, the Patriots' wide receiver, went up for a pass, Tatum was there waiting. The collision was violent, sending Stingley crashing to the turf. But it wasn't just a hit. It was devastating. Stingley's neck was broken, and in an instant, his life, his career was changed forever. The damage was severe. Stingley was paralyzed from the chest down. A once promising career was over. A young man's future was altered, and the NFL would never be the same again. But what made this incident even more complicated was the lack of immediate discipline. Tatum wasn't penalized on the field. No flag, no fine. Nothing. In the aftermath, the media questioned whether Tatum's hit was legal or too aggressive. Many believed it was a clean hit. Others felt it was too much. The debate raged on, but the NFL didn't take strong action at first. Behind the scenes, the league was rattled. Executives, coaches, and players knew this wasn't just another injury. This was a wake-up call. It wasn't until after the incident that the league began to seriously consider the risks of such brutal collisions. The Stingley tragedy helped spark a wider conversation about player safety. A conversation that would evolve over the decades, leading to the introduction of stricter rules, especially regarding hits to the head and neck area. Tatum never apologized for the hit. In interviews, he explained that he played to stop the offense, not to hurt anyone intentionally. But the damage was done not just to Stingley, but to the NFL's image as a whole. The NFL, once proud of its warrior culture, now faced a moral dilemma. How much violence is too much? And where should the line be drawn between toughness and danger? The incident marked a turning point, one that would influence how the league handled hits, disciplinary actions, and player safety going forward. And for Tatum, it became a part of his legacy, whether he wanted it or not. Legacy and controversy. Before we talk about the man who became a symbol of hard-hitting football, we need to look at the legacy Jack Tatum left behind, a legacy that still sparks debates to this day. Tatum's aggressive, no-holds-barred style on the field didn't just make him a legend. It forced the NFL to confront a growing issue: player safety. For years, Tatum's fearsome hits were the standard for defensive players. He set the tone for a whole generation of hitters who believed that football was about imposing your will on others. But after the Darryl Stingley incident, questions began to arise. Could the NFL continue to embrace this violent style? Should the league take a harder stance on hits that left players vulnerable? Tatum's reputation forced the league to seriously consider what kind of game it wanted to be. He was more than just a hard hitter. He became a lightning rod for an issue the NFL could no longer ignore. Rules started shifting. Helmet-to-helmet contact, once praised, became a foul. And slowly, the game began to change. The conversation about head injuries and player safety didn't end with Tatum. It would evolve over time, but his style remained. A symbol of the sport's darker side, a side that led to long-lasting health consequences for many players. His legacy became a cautionary tale, not just for opponents, but for the league itself. Despite the controversy surrounding his hits, Tatum's place in football history was undeniable. In 1981, he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. That recognition wasn't just for his hits or his interceptions. It was for his dominance on the field, the way he redefined the role of a safety. He turned the position into something feared, respected, and unforgettable. After retiring from football, Tatum's life was full of challenges. He battled health issues that many attributed to the brutal way he played the game. As the years went, On, Tatum became vocal about the long-term effects of playing such a violent sport. He faced struggles with diabetes and heart issues, the consequences of years of physical punishment. In 2004, he even underwent the amputation of part of his leg due to complications from diabetes. But instead of fading into the background, he used his voice to raise awareness about health issues and diabetes, advocating for better care for former athletes who had given their bodies to the game. He wrote books. He spoke at events. He wanted people to know that behind the image of the assassin was a man dealing with real consequences. Jack Tatum may have left the field, but the consequences of his era in football stayed with him and with the league. His life became a complex narrative of triumph, regret, and the fight for better health after the game. A complex figure. Before we wrap up, let's take a step back and reflect on the man we've just explored. Jack Tatum was more than just a football player. He was a force, a living symbol of what it meant to be tough in the NFL. He was the man who redefined the safety position, the one who made receivers think twice before catching a pass, the one whose hits became the stuff of legend. But in the shadow of those legendary hits, there was also controversy, a tragedy that would change the course of football forever. So, was Jack Tatum the most dangerous man in football? It's a question that remains open to debate. Was his style of play the very essence of the game, or did it push the boundaries of what's acceptable? In many ways, Tatum was the evolution of the NFL, tough, relentless, and unapologetic. But as we've seen, that very toughness led to serious questions about player safety, questions the NFL continues to grapple with today. What makes Tatum such a fascinating figure is that his legacy lives in both the past and the present. He represents an era when violence was celebrated, even marketed. And yet, he also became the flashpoint that forced the league to rethink everything from rules to ethics to responsibility. He inspired generations of defenders, not because they wanted to hurt people, but because they wanted to play without fear. Tatum gave them that mindset. He showed them how to hit with precision, with purpose, and with pride. But his story also reminds us that the game carries a price. It shows us the emotional weight that comes with being known not just for what you did, but what your actions caused. In the end, Tatum's legacy is complex. He was both a symbol of the old school, hard-hitting game and a reminder of the cost that came with it. He proved that being feared doesn't always mean being loved, and that greatness comes with its own set of consequences. We invite you to think about that balance between toughness and safety. Can the NFL continue to celebrate the hard-hitting defenders like Tatum while ensuring the well-being of players for generations to come? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to History of Raiders. We'll continue bringing you the untold stories of the legends who shaped the game and the truths that came with them.